All right, folks. Hope you guys are having a great night. Let's go ahead and start hopping into it here. Turn down some of that David Stewart music, some of that David V. Stewart Zool music. And we'll get to some games. By games, we're going to continue with Final Fantasy III. I realize I'm using the old thumbnail from Final Fantasy II. So you can just imagine that the thumbnail has Final Fantasy III's logo on it. I need to update that. There's some good logos here. There's one with like a cool circle. But anyway, so we'll continue on with that. It's the PSP version, in case anybody's wondering what version I'm playing, which is based on the DS version, and it's pretty much the same as the one that you would get for your phone if you got an Android or iOS version. So let's go ahead and just turn that down here. We'll listen to a little bit more when we're done. When we're done with the stream. I'm not going to stream that long tonight. It's been a really long couple of days. So those of you who've been hanging out with me for a while, my mother-in-law died yesterday at about 4 p.m. So if you want I don't want to talk too much about it because it's like live. I don't want to have like a breakdown or a live stream or anything like that. But basically what happened was, for reasons unknown, her body began shutting down a couple days after she had heart surgery. Her kidneys, she went into kidney failure. And then she wasn't able to breathe. So she ended up sedated and on a ventilator. She has had a lot of lung problems over the years. In fact, she would be someone that would be intensely vulnerable to something like the flu or coronavirus because of her general respiratory difficulties and indeed cardiovascular issues as well. Which is why she had heart surgery. So once that happened, she ended up with kidney failure, which is something you can come back from. Sometimes your kidneys can come back and actually gain function again. But we basically ended up in a position where she was in liver failure. And liver failure is something you really can't come back from at this point. And she was unable to, they couldn't wake her up anymore. They kept trying to wake her up every day, and she would be really agitated and have to sedate her again, as you can imagine. And so we chose to take off life support yesterday, and that was primarily my wife's decision. And once we really had all the information, that became very clear that that was the appropriate thing to do. We were prolonging her life artificially we even tried, she had an advanced directive or like a living will. And in that, it specified that she didn't want to have a feeding tube or anything in a persistent vegetative state. Now, this vegetative state could not be persistent because it can't be persistent with liver failure. It's impossible. So it was just prolonging the inevitable and making her suffer and have to be unconscious. And we don't know. She probably, if somehow she were to miraculously come back, then she would come back, but there wasn't really anything else medically to do. Now, I will just kind of say this as a side thing. If this is like, if you know me well, then you'd be like, why is he talking about all this? And why is he analyzing everything? That's just who I am. Okay, I analyze everything. So one of the things that you don't realize about statistics, it's why statistics are misleading. You hear something about a heart surgery having 95% chance of success. Now, this was a major heart surgery. They replaced a valve. We found out later that the doctor really wanted to replace 2 valves, but could only replace 1. So her valves were bad, meaning she had murmuring hearts and backflow and things like that. She had multiple blockages that were very atypical, could have been caused by cancer treatment she had over 30 years ago. So very, very kind of out of the box case. Well, 90%, people are like, I hear 95%, they think it's a sure thing. That distribution's not even. For her, obviously it wasn't going to be 95%. but you don't know that really going into it. They also fudge the numbers a lot to make surgery seem safer than it is. So if the patient lives longer than 30 days after surgery, then as a matter of record, the proximate cause is not determined to be the heart surgery, but something else like liver failure. Well, that's not really true, because if not for the heart surgery, she wouldn't have gone into liver failure or anything. Now, she might have just died of a heart attack randomly. The doctors were so afraid of they didn't even let her leave the hospital. They did a scope of her heart because of some issues, and they were afraid to let her leave the hospital because they thought she would collapse and die because of all these blockages in her heart. So, who knows? It's not like you do this kind of bargaining behavior when someone dies where you're like, oh, if only we'd done this or that, or if this and that had been different. It's kind of a waste of time with your thought, because it was her decision, and she made the best decision she could prior to that. And she was very at peace with it. She's like, no, this is a good timing. I'll be able to play with my grandkids again. And it didn't happen. So, I do appreciate all the prayers, and my wife appreciates the prayers. And if you want to say a prayer for the repose of her soul, I would appreciate that as well. She was an extremely generous and charitable person, extremely kind, and pretty much everybody who met her or knew her instantly liked her. She was the youngest of 6 and was mother to 2 and then 2 stepchildren. And we're definitely, it's a big shock. Nobody had her go into that surgery thinking that she wouldn't come out the other side. You almost never do, or you wouldn't do it. Now, I had my dad got killed on the job, got killed while he was at work. What's today's year? 11 years ago, as of a couple weeks ago. And that's a shock. That's like I said bye to him, and I never saw him again. That's a thing that you don't really think about. It was kind of the case with this. Another way that I thought about it with her, she had cancer treatment. She had lymphoma 30 some odd years ago. So they do radiation and things like that, and it causes all kinds of damage in your body. And so you buy a lot of extra time, and you buy so much extra time that you think that you haven't bought the extra time. But eventually, we're in these limited bodies, and they can't take it forever, and they break down. And I'm very thankful for the medical interventions that allowed her to live an extra 30 years and know her grandkids instead of dying 30 some odd years ago. But the medical interventions were not enough this time. So that's what's going on. I kind of felt like streaming. A couple reasons. First of all, I learned this back more than 10 years ago, is that when somebody dies, it's really good to do normal things. It's good to do the things that the living do. Eat, drink, talk, do your work, do your chores, take care of your dog and cat. In my case, do your garden, do your chickens, that kind of stuff. So don't stop doing what you normally do. But yeah, so I'm really thankful for the extra 30 years we got, besides what could have happened without the original medical intervention. So I do appreciate the prayers, and I'm really, really thankful for anyone that took the time for that. But it was not meant to be, and it's a big shock for a lot of us, and we have to kind of figure out how to do everything after that. You have to be adults. And even though I've done this once before, you never really get used to it. So that's what's going on with me and my family. My wife got us a really cool Lego set for Valentine's Day, kind of before we knew that. Basically, we came to a point like on Sunday where it's like, she's not coming back. Like we've had a nurse that was finally honest. Doctors, like surgeons, will want to make it to that 30 days so it doesn't show up as like patient died from my heart surgery. But We had this great Lego. Me and my son have been building it the last couple of days. I'll show you guys some pictures on social media, or I might do a little video on it because it's really cool. It's basically this giant pirate island made out of a pirate ship from when I was a kid. So it's this pirate ship I never got to get as a kid because it was just too expensive for my parents to get it for me. But I had like a bunch of other pirate Legos. So in this case, it's the pirate ship, but turned into like a big pirate base. Very cool. My son's having a great time with it, building it with me. Thanks, Jared. I do appreciate it. So, what's going on? My stepdad died of a pulmonary embolism on December 15th. I'm so sorry. We were watching videos on Scotland. He got up, pulled salmon and spinach out of the fridge for dinner, went to the bathroom, and boom. Oh, that's crazy. You know, this is my grandfather who died last year at the age of 94, 93 or 94. He actually flew over oh my gosh, was it Hiroshima or Nagasaki? I think it was Nagasaki. He flew escort on Nagasaki. So he took pictures. So like some of the pictures you see, I think are some of his pictures. He took pictures of the bomb dropping. He had a aortic embolism. Like he had a big balloon embolism coming out of his, aorta on his heart, and it's like, how are you even alive? And they went in and did another like cardiogram, and it had shrunk down to like almost nothing and just went away. Like they thought he was going to die within days. They're like, no way, this is going to rupture and he's going to die instantly. It's like it's so big we can't correct it. It's like, you better say your goodbyes because it's any minute now. And then it just like went away. Crazy. I had a neighbor across the street from me die of a brain hemorrhage. So he had some sort of swollen vessel that burst. He had a headache. He had this really bad headache. Said, I'm going to go take a nap. Never woke up. No, that was on no one's radar. No one was thinking like brain hemorrhage. He didn't hit his head or anything. I think that's what killed Billy Mays. Billy Mays hit his head with a plane landing, and a couple days later, the bleed just took over, and like he died of a brain hemorrhage. It's crazy. It's like random. My grandmother was sick for a while before she passed away, but it seemed like she was getting better prior to her passing. She suddenly passed away shortly after getting out of the hospital. Yeah, I will say that my mother-in-law died very peacefully. So it wasn't like a dramatic death, but we did have to decide to end life insurance, to end the life support, and that was according to her wishes. She didn't want to be on life support longer than, especially if there was no hope of recovery, and that's really where we came to. It's like there was a sliver of hope, and then she's yellow from jaundice, and it's like it's because she's in liver failure. It's like can't come back from that. You can live for a little while with liver failure, but no, you can't come back from that. Do you think agrarianism is closely tied to civic virtue? Now, the Romans thought so, and I think a lot of people in early America thought so, like agrarianism, like that farming was a noble profession. I think the Greeks thought so too. I can't think of examples off the top of my head, but there's lots of things talking about like what kind of noble professions are there, and farming is one of them. I think probably for like, where am I? Probably for good reason here. All right, let's get this game loaded up here. Now, there's a lot of benefits to agrarianism, which is that you tend to have you have smaller communities. Our current agrarianism is actually atypical in that people like, oh, my nearest neighbor is a half mile away. You actually wouldn't have that historically. What you'd probably have historically is a village, and then everything is kind of radiating out from the village because you don't want to be too far away from your neighbors because you need them possibly for lots of things. So anyway, yeah. See, that autosave feature got me last time. I didn't autosave and then I died. But I got back to where I was before off stream. But if you think about what does a farmer have to do? What does he have to do? What does he have to manage? Well, he has to manage the lives of himself and his family, obviously. Classically, he would have to manage the lives of, say, his slaves, which we don't have slaves anymore, so that's not really there. But it's something you have to manage, like how you can feed them. But you also have to manage timing, you know. How are you going to plant your crops? How are you going to sow them? How are you going to manage the land? You have to do a lot of saving and planning. All of those things, I think, are kind of go along with, say, civic virtue. Being able to, and you know, we have to ask what civic virtue is. Civic virtue is being able to govern morally, right? Being able to contribute to moral governance. So all of those things kind of breed virtue. So civic virtue is going to go along with that. So if somebody who's concerned with his neighbors, does a lot of planning, is he going to run up $1 trillion in domestic debt? No, he's not going to do that because he's going to recognize that that's not a good thing. Wait, do I have? Yeah, I have. What's his name in my party? All right. So I think we go here and I think we get the airship. How's that conspiracy speech before the UN going? I thought that was so great. You know, I can imagine like all the guys with like their little earphones with the translator. All right, here comes our third party member. What are we going to name her? Yeah. Look, who are you? What are you doing here? I could ask the same thing. This is Sid's airship, and he's letting us use it. This is a great portrait. She's cute. Refia. What should we call her? Do you think government should encourage land ownership with incentives? No, I'm not really into the government trying to encourage or discourage things. I think people will, you know, in normal times, people would live in the cities or not based on the incentives for each. Like people live in the cities because it's in proximity to other things that they care about, not because they love living in like dank, dark cities or something. And people live in the countries because it offers different things. You know, I'm not into government incentives for most things. Hey David, I just want to tell you I'm watching you for years now, and you were a big role model figure in my teenage years throughout all the videos that you did. Well, thank you. I appreciate you watching. Hope you and your family get through this well. Yeah, we're gonna be okay. My wife is handling it like a champ. Lydia, stevia. It's like a sweetener. Let's do Lydia. I like Lydia because it's kind of Greek. Refia sounds a little bit like, I don't know, ref in a female name. I'm just not all about it. So we'll do Lydia. Lydian mode. Sharp 4. One way to think of Lydian mode. No, I'm sorry, not sharp. Is it not sharp 4? No, not 4 is not sharp. 1, 2, 3. No, it is sharp 4. Well, sharp 4. You start also starting on the 4th of a major scale. It's the 4th mode. And then there's Hypolydian, where the final is F, but you only use C to C. So it really is C with a just ending on the 4th. I'm Lydian. I typed Lydian. Uh-oh. We better restart this. Lydian is not good. I'm Lydian. What's the feminine of Raphael? That's a good question. What is the feminine of Raphael? Yeah, that's a good question. Raphaela? Raphia? Not sure. Just go through all these games. Sorry. Put all the Final Fantasy games at the bottom. See, I have like all these PS1 games that I've loaded on here. Just to get like a bunch of them. Put like your whole collection on like a little tiny micro SD card. Think about that. It's crazy. Hezbollah. Raphaeline? Raffia? Raffia sounds like Raffi, which is a... how should I put it? It's like the skin ridge of where your two halves bind together, like between your genitals and anus. It's called your Raffi. Fun word there for you. Enhance your vocabulary, the Raffi. In your perineum. Just the area between your genitals and anus. And now we lose our ads. Yeah, ROM sites are preserving a lot of things, but I mean, you can rip your own games. You have to do a little bit of extra work to get them on the Vita because you have to convert them into basically a version that PSP can read, because the Vita like has a PSP in it, but it's not that hard. All right, her name is going to be Lydia. Who are you? What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing. Alright. I'm not playing the whole game with, like, Lydia. Or Lydian. Or do just Lydia. Like from Skyrim. Oh yeah, so it's like I wanted to just do something normal. Like after yesterday. So I'm like, So what did I end up doing? Well, I spent an hour trying to get Skyrim to run on 3 monitors and failing. That's normal for me. It's like, oh, I want to get this PC game to run. I'll spend an hour doing it and not get it to run. So I just had this idea while I was like, I want to run Skyrim on 3 monitors right now. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, it got it to work kind of, but the UI was all off to like one side where I'm like, I don't think I could play this that way. So that means you're the blacksmith's daughter. You have to help us make a mithril ring. Yes, that's the only way we'll be able to... Oh, wait, Vox is kind of the wimpy one. Yes, that's the only way we'll be able to lift the curse on Krasus. I can't make mithril rings. I didn't study that far. I don't want to. Swell. I don't think Sid's going to be particularly happy with that news. We'll make them all American. Wait, I know where we can find a ring. My father forged a mithril ring for King Sasune a long time ago, and he should still have it. Let me go with you. I can't make mithril rings, but I want to help my father and the people of Krasus. Kazis. Will games at some point be archived like movies? Yes. They are now. The problem is getting them out of like a... they're all over the Internet Archive. You can get tons of ROM images on the Internet Archive and whole ROM sets. In fact, that's probably a really good place to get them because the no intro ROM sets are there, like the pure ROM sets. I think she should come with us, Mel. Me too. Slacking off saved her from the curse, so maybe that luck might rub off on us. Hey, that's not funny. Lydia has joined the party. I do kind of like the chibi characters. If you guys play Bravely Default, I think this version of Final Fantasy III was a big inspiration for Bravely Default in terms of systems and everything else. All aboard! Do you believe epic poetry will ever have a resurgence in pop culture, or is that a pipe dream? I mean, I think it could. I mean, anything's possible. Who knows what the next, trend is going to be. Can we? Oh, we can't fly over mountains yet. There's a cave. We're going to go over to the castle. Well, let's try the castle. Let's see if we can... Here we go. See what's here. Hey, Est. Vox is still in his Omega state right now. Don't worry. By the end of the game, he'll be full Sigma. Terrible curse has befallen the people in Castle Sasune while I was gone. Only the power of a mithril ring may save them, I am told, but Kazis is suffering from the same fate as Sasune. I must do something, but where will I find a mithril ring? I am the daughter of the blacksmith of Kazis. The king must still have the ring my father made him. We've come to borrow the king's mithril ring to save Kazis. Will you let us through? An audience with the king. Yes, I believe I can arrange that. Come, I will be waiting in the throne room. Have you seen Army of Darkness? Yes. I thought it was funny, but I haven't seen it in like 20 years. I'm not like the hugest fan of it. You will never be able to fly over mountains in this game. Just a heads up. Okay, thank you. I don't really remember. I do like that they give you the... They do give you the ship like right away, which is pretty cool. Uh-oh. Are we gonna get... Oh, no, okay, these guys. We can kill these guys. I hope. Let's find out. I forgot to give everybody, like, weapons. So, whatever. We'll see if we can kill these guys. Well, we're doing some damage. Not much. Ouch. Ouch. Let's run. These early games are full of things like this where you just have to, like, run away. There we go. I spend a lot of time writing screenplays. I don't really have many avenues to market them. Are there other ways to market stories? Write books. Or turn the screen... Now, this is something that I'm looking into, is visual novels. So this is something I'm really surprised more of my, you know, friends and mutuals haven't really figured out. Is like how to have... I'll put a dagger in there. Leather cap. Nothing. Okay. Oh, that's fine. Let's go magic. What does he have? Oh yeah, these guys can learn. Let's see who's got what status. I think these have pretty much like the same... Mel's kind of a little more attack heavy. Well, that's because he has a different weapons on, probably. Everybody's the same, so everybody's a blank slate. We could just let's teach some magic to people. We'll go Vox. You can use. Oh, let's learn cure. Now, Lydia, you can learn Hosanna. Mel, you can learn sleep. Alright, there we go. So yeah, screenplays are only... I mean, screenplays are just not a really... I started... I mean, I shouldn't say I started. I started writing novels. I wrote screenplays. I even worked with producers for a while. But basically, the reason I don't write screenplays is that unless you are a director and can make them yourself, it's a waste of time, in my opinion. Or you have somebody else who can make them, and you already have an in. If you already have the connections to have the movie made, then you can write screenplays. Otherwise, you should write books. Because you can just sell a book. Or you can turn that script into a graphic novel, a comic. Work with an artist and you can have a comic. You could do a visual novel if you're a competent artist or a programmer. That's something I'm kind of looking into, not to do, but just to know more about the format. It's very popular in Japan. I would write a comic book. The only reason I don't is that I don't like collaborating right now, because I'm not that, like, my schedule's really crazy, and you know, I haven't had good luck collaborating with other people. And that's honestly pretty common with people who write comics, is artists get flaky. If I weren't a ghost, I'd go and defeat the djinn myself. Even artists that work for like the big two are flaky, you know, and can't complete things on time. What will become of the kingdom? Somehow we got to get that treasure. What I'm saying. Here we go. Let's get some treasure. Give me that treasure. 1,000 gil. 2,000 gil. Oh, there's not monsters down here. I think I can like zoom in and see stuff. Go. So yeah. What are your predictions for the film industry? Will films get better or worse in the next 5 years? I think they'll continue to get worse. If you're going to say better or worse, my prediction is worse. And they'll continue to get worse, at least from Hollywood, until there's more alternatives that are of higher quality. And then they may start to get a little bit better again. You know, I don't have confidence in the Hollywood studios to improve themselves because they don't really care about the money. This is the thing that people need to wake up to, is that... Oh, we got Blizzard. Sweet. One of the things I like to do for like... Ooh, just for like splitting up magic is... Alright. Bronze Knuckles. Let's see if those are any good. Oh, he's already got him. Have everybody do a different black magic spell. So it's kind of like split up. And then you can level your magic a little easier. What's the best meme you've seen recently? I don't know. Seen some funny things recently. Hollywood cinema is abysmal now. Yeah, it's... The thing is, this is the thing that a lot of people need to wake up to, is they don't care about the money. So, I operated for a long time like, yeah, man, they care about the money, but, you know, there's still some people in the industry who care about the money. But overall, most of the people running the industry simply don't care about the money. Now look, these angels. These are nice. So, because they don't care about the money, you know, it doesn't matter that something flops. Or not. And then half the time, it doesn't even flop, even though it's bad because there's just no alternatives. It's like, why did people go see Captain Marvel? Because every other Marvel movie has been good enough to see. And Captain Marvel was kind of okay, so people liked it. Normies don't think that deep. They like a lot of stuff. The sword White Slayer, the bane of all the undead, is stored atop the western tower. Well, thank you. I went in there, but those monsters beat the tar out of me. The sealed cave is guarded by undead animated by the power of darkness. You must know that cure is harmful to them. Good to know. Oh, cutscene. Write screenplays for Ben Shapiro. Based on Ben Shapiro's novel, I don't think he would accept good screenplays. King Sasune. What is this, Sassoon or Sasune? I'm going to call him Sasune. The Jin's curse has befallen us all, and I am no exception. I am an outline. Sire, these younglings have come seeking the mithril ring to counter the curse. Mithril ring, you seek to use its powers to banish the Jinn once again? I will grant you this boon, however. My daughter holds the ring, and she went missing shortly before the curse was cast upon us. If the princess holds the ring, the Jinn may have taken her. If it is so, I fear for my precious Sarah. The Jinn must have taken her to its cave in the north. Don't worry, sir, we'll get her back. Sire, I would like to ask for your leave to accompany these brave souls to the sealed cave and rescue Lady Sarah. Okay, we get to name another guy. I like Ingus. That's a cool name. We should call him Dingus, though. I could turn my screenplays into novels, but I honestly don't read a lot of fiction. Might be bumpy coming from screenplays. Yeah, I would look at graphic novels, like comics, or visual novels. Now, I can't give you a lot of info on visual novels. I was trying to talk about this, but I get distracted by other questions in gameplay. I don't know, what should we name this guy? But visual novels are... I could probably show you one on the Vita, because they're very popular on the PlayStation Vita. And there's a bunch of... Probably the most common one you may have heard of, you probably don't even realize it started as this, was Fate Stay Night. So there's a lot of people have seen the anime. Chuck, that's it. Chuck or Clint. He's blonde, so Clint. There we go. Like, you probably don't remember this. I'm sorry. You may have seen the animation, like there's Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night. It started as a Japanese visual novel, but you actually still can't get an official English translation of, called Fate Stay Night. A bunch of different branching story paths, kind of choose your own adventure kind of stuff. So the visual novel format, which is very popular in Japan, is something that I think would be pretty. There's even software like Visual Novel Maker that you could use to make it if you had an artist able to make your assets. So it's something like I look at the format and then do marketing research. It's just something I'm doing research on. I can't really report that much on it other than say this is a thing that you may not have known about. So when you see fake game journos, especially the fake gamer girl game journos, saying, why can't I play Persona 4 but like without the gameplay? And everyone's like, without the gameplay. You know, why can't I just do the story and like the romance stuff? That's a visual novel. We already have those games. They're called visual novels. They just don't have a lot of market penetration in the West because visual novels are actually very heavy female demographic. So I was looking at one called, oh my God, what was it called? But basically right away, I'm like, this is totally for girls. There's like 3 female characters. The rest are different variations of good-looking young men. And then there's like romance. You could turn romance on or off. It's like, obviously this is marketed towards women because they get to engage in fantasy romance role-playing and have like this complex like samurai murder story, you know, which I wrote a samurai murder story. Let me say something else about my mother-in-law. So she was a big fan of mine. She read all my books. And so like when we're going through her house, my books are like all over her house because she read all my books. And that actually meant a lot to me. It's something that I didn't like realize would affect me as much as it did. And I kind of feel bad that I haven't like finished as many series because you just don't think about somebody dying. You have my leave, Clint, unless there are any objections. Of course not. His sword is worth twice that of these 2. Thanks, Lydia. I'll remind you that you said that when I'm banging you later, says Mel. Now that's not fair, but I agree that having one of the king's men with us would help us a lot. Clint has joined the party. Yay! Oh, Katawa Shuojo, I remember that. Like a bunch of crippled people. Yeah. Fate actually begins as a XXX visual. Oh, that's right. You're right. It's totally got like hentai stuff in it. You're right. Thank you. No too long. It became successful enough that they could drop the XXS stuff and go legit. Yeah, they have. There's different versions of it. So the Rialto Nua version is the main one that people are looking for, and that's the one that you'll probably find a script for that you can apply an English script patch. But that one's missing it's missing the anime titties. So it's up to you to find the hardcore one if you really want. If you want the hentai one, there's a secret passageway in the sealed cave. Search for the skeleton key. I'm counting on you and your friends, Clint. Banish the djinn and save us all. Yeah, adventure games are more along the line of a visual novel. They're very different, and I'm trying to explore more of those. But, you know, if you could do your own visual novel, it's totally something like a 2-man team could do at this point pretty easily. Living in Morocco, I have found that people really believe in jinn. Yeah, it freaks them out when I joke about evoking jinn. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I've heard similar things. You know, from people in, say, Algeria, or even, some of the Middle Eastern countries. I hear about that. It's like jinn is like as a folkloric animal is really, or folkloric being is really believed. And people actually are quite scared of jinn. It's weird thing to think about. Not that weird. You know, I mean, people used to believe in like werewolves and stuff, so. Seems totally appropriate that some people believe in jinn too. It makes me think also, this reminds me of one of my favorite JRPGs for the Game Boy Advance, Golden Sun and Golden Sun, The Lost Age. which you collect Jinn. They're like little Pokemon. They really look like Pokemon. And as you assign them to different people, it changes their class and their attributes and like what spells they can use. It's a really cool system. I really miss that sort of class system. Even though like once you have it figured out, like you can really break the game. You can turn an ecchi game into full hentai with a simple mod. I'll take your word for it. Yeah, she really believed in me. My mother-in-law really believed in me. Like my novels. My wife really believes in me too. My wife, there's novels my wife hasn't read because like she does not like horror. I'm like, I don't know, man. All my novels are kind of horrible. How can you say you don't like horror when you read my novels and they're horrible? Yeah, a visual novel. I'll show a demo if you want. If you want, we can look at one real quick. The good ones say like drawing it yourself if you are a good artist, but the art in a lot of these is pretty good, so it's probably worth it to hire an artist. Like it's like if this is something that I could script easily and program easily, and just hire, an artist friend. I know so many artists. I could probably just get some cool art, and the most of the art is that Eastern anime kind of style, the manga style. Wait, who has Cure? I think he has Cure. Let's try Cure. There we go. See if Cure works. Ouch! Ooh. Okay, that's bad. I think we're gonna have to level up a bit. That was like all that person's health. Yeah, we're gonna have to do some leveling. Oh yeah, they didn't even kill him. We gotta get out of here. I gotta remember to save more often. Yeah, dude. Oh no. There we go. Yes. Let's get out of here. We're just gonna have to grind a bit, I think. Is this the way out? Yes. Okay. It is actually an Islamic belief that Satan is a jinn, being made of fire rather than a fallen angel. Interesting. I didn't know that. I think he's out of... Now he's out of MP already, see? Alright, let's go back to we'll grind in the forest for a bit. And then maybe we'll look at a visual novel here. I like that Yoshitaka Amano illustration. Alright. Visual novels are like choose your own adventure books, but with graphics, sound, and voice acting and music. Now, see, here's the other thing too: is like I could do the music, so like I could do everything but the art competently, and I could take a year or two and learn to do the art. But that's who wants to do that? Better not just hire an artist and you get the thing done twice as quick. But you could script it really quick and then do the music. And then program it. And you could just use an engine. They have engines for them. I think the voice acting... I think you're right, Nox. I think the voice acting helps. I think there's a lot of things in visual novels. It's like... a lot of them use novel-like technique, by the way, too. It's not like a cartoon. Because there'll be prose in it. There'll be narrative prose. Either in the first person or the third person. That goes along with the visual novel. Raise your character's job level a little bit. Yeah, good idea. Go to the first dungeon and block 3 or 4 times for each character in a battle. When you beat the enemy, each character will gain a job level. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to remember I think you gain job levels based on actions performed. So blocking will help you get there. So if we go guard, do this a couple times. get more with freelancer. I don't think it matters, but some job levels like go slower. So if you do mage, you have to do more actions to get it to work with mage. And Lydia got hit hard. There we go. Just use the visual novel plugin for RPG Maker. I have RPG Maker. I've never made an RPG on it though. I have it. I got it on a Steam sale. There we go. Got a job level increase. I'm like, yeah, I could make a. Maybe I'll make an RPG one day. Yeah, I don't have time for that. Oh, she's sad. I'll wait here. I don't want to see my father. At least, not yet. Lydia has left the party. I just wanted to rest at the inn. Sorry, chop chop. I hate to be a backseat driver, but you should equip shields while grinding. Yeah, good idea. I have to go buy them. No, I appreciate it. That's not like, how dare you suggest how to do this game better. I remember everything about these games. I haven't played this since 2006 probably. On the DS. I still have, oh yeah, check it out. I have it on here. I have it on a flash card now. Bam. This thing still works. How rad is that? Bam. DS. And it says oh, you can't see it. It says SpongeBob SquarePants, but it's actually a flash card that has just a bunch of games on it. Called Ace 3DS Plus. It works with 3DS too. You know, is it loading up here? The Pokemon Company. It's a Pokemon game. Anyway. Pokemon. I had a lot of time. I had a lot of fun time playing that game. See if staying at the inn, like, see if that cures our poison. Oh, I have Poisona. What am I thinking? Yeah, magic. Lydia has Poisona. She can just cure it. I'll just quickly stay here. Yes, rest here. What time is it? Alright. Getting towards the end of the stream. Still play on my Game Boy Advance. Yeah, I lent my Game Boy Advance to my brother-in-law so he could use Tingle Tuner with Wind Waker. And then I think it's in a box somewhere because he moved. But yeah, I loved my little DS. I had so much fun with it. Me and him both bought DSs like the same day. We went down to like GameStop and each bought one. And like I remember you could do this little can you still do it? Here, I'll have to turn it off and back on again. You could do this like little chat thing on here, and so we could like chat with each other in different rooms or like in class. You'd like sit in the back of class. We were in college at the time. And so like pick to chat, that's it. And so like I could, you know, you could go to like a chat room and, you know, this is before he was my brother-in-law. He was just my friend. And so like you could, you know, draw on it. We like draw poop and stuff, draw, you know, we had so much fun with that. We thought it was so cool back in like whenever this came out, 2006. We're like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is awesome, you know. Good times. I gotta decide what to give up for Lent. I'm debating between like sugar and like Rockstar, like energy drinks. Buy a couple shields. Of course, we use the DS to chat. I have one in my bag, so I'll buy another one. I'll buy some bracers too. There's another shield. Of course, he just has like a knife. Give him a long sword. There we go. So we could give him a bronze knuckles. There we go. What do you think of pagans? I don't hate pagans, but there's very few real pagans. Most people LARPing as pagans don't. They don't leave like bread out for Zeus. They're not leaving burnt offerings for Zeus. They're just like, yeah, I'm gonna do my folk traditions from Europe. Great. Folk traditions are awesome. And you need something to believe in. But I think Julian the Apostate as an example, I don't think you can go backwards to paganism. I don't think you can really recover it. And a lot of people think that the myths are the religion. No, the pagan religion was something specific that was different from that. It's the practice. It's kind of hard to recover the practice. Give up sugar and just use monk fruit. No, I do like monk fruit. I chat with people by discreetly pulling out my megaphone. Now, I made my wife some cookies for Valentine. Oh man, I got sugar everywhere. Made my wife some cookies for Valentine's Day. She didn't like them because they weren't sweet enough, so I'm gonna make some new ones. Yeah, it was more of a lifestyle and living will that belonged to specific people at a specific time. Like, for paganism, the religion is in the people. It's in the blood. It's in the, you know, you can't really separate it. You can't kind of like Shintoism, right? Like, Shinto is something that you don't really, you can't, like, go practice Shinto in the U.S. Like, there's no kamis of the, like, this, our mountains don't have kami. They don't have gods attached to them. And they don't have any, like, it's, I don't know. Christianity is made to be very, very much exported. Islam is made to be very much exported. Buddhism is made to be very much exported, but not really folk religions. Even Hinduism doesn't even really exist. It's basically like a made up thing that the British made up. You know, it's a way to collectivize all of these Indian folk religions that were bound up in the people and the place and the time, and kind of put them all into one big umbrella called Hinduism. You meet, and if you ever meet Hindus, look at this guy. If you ever meet Hindus, you know, you meet 10 Hindus and they have 10 different religions and practices. And they view themselves different from all the other Hindus. And then you have, say, Gandhi, who said everybody in India is Hindu, and that offends the Sikhs because they're like, no, we're not the same religion. It's because Hinduism is like a catch-all for all Indian religions, of which there were many. You know, and historically, like, you could go through China, and different areas in China had different, you know, different religious beliefs and practices. They were just kind of bound up in the tribe that was there, the area, the people, you know. It's really interesting to study. It's very complicated, but if you're raising job level, you should have each character guard 3 or 4 times in battle. So a total of 12 actions per battle. Otherwise, no job level. Well, yeah, I thought it was like you could get it across battles, but yeah, we can do that. We'll try it out. Thank you. I know it's like it's the number of actions. The thing that I don't like about this game later in the game is that there's a big grind to try to get job levels on some of your later jobs. Worship the American God and his prophets, the founding fathers, and St. Teddy Roosevelt, the most American man who ever lived. An assassin's bullet could not kill him. Keep the Constitution holy. Yeah, you can mythologize. I mean, we do have mythology or a legendarium, maybe. It's probably more appropriate to call it legendariums rather than mythology, but it approaches mythological levels. Technically, I mean, if you're going to deal with mythology, it should really be something that is specifically gods, not heroes. But, you know, people use the terms in different ways. GameCube Third Age is a totally different game. I guess I missed something there. Lord of the Rings Third Age on my DS. It's a turn-based strategy game. Very fun. You know, it's a fun one on the DS is actually Final Fantasy XII Revenant Kingdom. It's like a little mini RTS with like touch controls and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. It's like a little mini RTS but with limited units. Maybe like something like Myth. Have you ever played Myth? Myth was a fun game from the 90s, made by Bungie Software, actually, that did Halo. Really good game. Alright, we got a couple more job levels there. Some freelancers. Alright, we'll get one more real quick. Yeah, I never played Bioshock Infinite. I just didn't get around to it. And it looked kind of schlocky. I mean, the first one was like this kind of... It's kind of schlocky with the Rand stuff, but I still liked it. It looked like fun gameplay, though. I enjoyed the gameplay of the first two. At least the first one. I don't really remember the second one. I think the second one's kind of like a black sheep. Black sheep of the family. Oh, one shot. Yeah, I wish there were more games like Myth. I love that it wasn't a resource thing. It was more like a real tactical game. I really enjoyed it. I wish they had made a lot more games like it. But they didn't. I bit the side of my tongue in the back at lunch. Me and my wife had lunch in a restaurant. Had to go to the bank and get safety deposit boxes open and stuff. We're like, man, we haven't been able to eat at a restaurant in a year. Because we either, you know, they were closed or we had kids with us all the time. Yeah, Myth is good. If you can get... I don't know if it's abandonware or not. They haven't really re-released it. And, you know, the 3D graphics are kind of rough on it because it's that later 90s 3D graphics. I still have at least Myth 1 somewhere. I still have the CD. It's a good game. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like... I really liked pre-Halo Bungie. 90s Bungie software had a lot of really cool games. They were kind of sleepers. They had the Myth games. They had the Marathon games. Pathways into Darkness, which was a really weird 3D shooter adventure game hybrid. Here we go. Job levels. Yeah, Marathon's that's a very underappreciated 3D shooter. I like it better than Doom in a lot of ways. I feel like maybe the level design of Doom was better. Marathon had these really labyrinthine levels that were pretty fun at the time, but it's kind of hard to go back to them and spend like half an hour wandering around going, wait, have I been here? Because like they reused the same textures. It had a great, the first Marathon game had just great atmosphere. Everything was super dark. The second one, it didn't have the same atmosphere at all. But Marathon 1, everything was really dark. You would hear the aliens, like, get alerted to your presence. You had a little motion tracker, like from Aliens, and you'd see these red triangles moving around on it. You're like, where's the alien? Is he above me or below me? And, especially later in the game, it just got super hard. I hate how generic AAA games have become. Yeah, let's have another no genre, open world shooter RPG hybrid. Here's another game that's Far Cry meets Skyrim. But worse than both. The best Far Cry game is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, by the way. Ghost of Tsushima is an okay game, but people heap praises on it. It's like a masterpiece. No, it's because games are so bad now that okay games seem like masterpiece titles. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been blown away by a game in quite some time. It's been quite a while since like I've had a game going, whoa, this is great. All right. Okay. Wait, did I save this? Halo's a good game too. I mean, it's a good game. It's just like after Halo, Bungie just was the company that made Halo. All right. Real quickly, let's see if I can. I'll just exit this. All right. So let's see here. Here, I'll show you a visual novel real quick. Okay, here we go. Sit. No, yeah. Okay. Design Factory. Cryware. So anyway, this is a visual novel. So there's like a little intro movie, and I did some of this just to see what was up here with this thing, just to kind of figure out what it was. So we'll find out about that. All right, I'll show you what's up. So we got some background music, and then you have some narrative stuff that you can read really quick. It's just like a line at a time. All at once, the events of the previous night rushed back to me. This isn't my room. My limbs were snugly bound in tight knots, so all I could do was wriggle around in bed, twisting the blankets around me. Now, one thing I would do differently, by the way, I wouldn't use this sans serif font. It's not good for reading stuff. You want a serif font. So there's serif fonts that are good for display, like Georgia. I yearned for the comfort of my own futon, but the futility of such thoughts only forced... This is from a female character's perspective, right? I used the default name, Chizuru Yukimura. If only I could wake from this strange nightmare. But I could not. Those men from the night before must have taken me with them. To the headquarters of the Shinsegumi, and then you could press this and it'll give you like a little military unit made up of Ronin. This takes place like right before the Meiji Restoration, I think. It's 19th century stuff. This is not a hentai game. I don't know yet, but there's been no boobies in the first 20 minutes. What will happen to me now? I inhaled deeply, lying down to await my fate. So, like, very simple animations. It was at that moment that the door slid open and a kind-looking man stepped through. You know, the voices are in Japanese. I see you finally awakened. My mom likes sans serif fonts are great for some things. They're not good for setting text that you intend to read in big blocks. It's probably okay in this context. Would you ever consider playing Vox Day's published and co-developed 1997 game Rebel Moon Rising? I haven't played it, but I don't know. Why not? Please wait, I'll loosen the ropes, alright? His smile quirked as he removed my ropes. My wrists, however, were left bound. And you are? Genzaburo Inoue, and you can, like, have a little... Oh, I don't know how I did that. There it is. Yeah, I get a little... How did I do this? Oh, that turns it off. Okay. Oh, that's the menu. There's no data to quick load. Quick saving. Oh, so you can like go back and like redo. Let me try the other option. Thank you, Inoue. Now, if you would follow me, they've been discussing what to do with you since morning. Now, let me turn it up a bit so you can hear the voice acting. The whole thing is a little quiet, so it might be good with headphones. I nodded curtly and struggled to stand, but my body was sore from being bound up all night. Inoue treated me with something like courtesy, but it was clear that I was in a lesser position. He must have been able to guess my thoughts, however, because he smiled at me and winked. I know they seem scary, but they are truly genuine. You don't need to worry. Oh. Even at home, I heard rumors of the vicious shinsengumi that were unflattering. Shinsengumi. Shinsengumi. Gu is gu a sound. Gumi. It's probably something like that. Gu. Gunu. It was hard to imagine that the people in charge of such an organization were gentlemen. The youngest man, Tudo, is about your age, or perhaps slightly older. And there are a pair of guys named Nagakura and Harada who are very lively, so you'll be fine. So the thing about a top knot is like when they portray samurai, they almost always give them like my hair, but like with the like here's the top knot, you know. Take Stu's hair and like that's what they do. No, real samurai, they shaved the pate of their head like all the way, and so it was just hair literally at the top, and you'd shave all this. So it's a really weird hairstyle. They almost never show men having it because it's weird. It's not attractive by today's standards. So you'll see all the samurai that, you know, their top knot is, you know, that they have luxurious long hair and stuff. So like you could see that the art assets are really not that hard to do. You know, this is like a background image with, you know, some stuff from, you know, whatever. Inoue led me to a room and opened the door. I stepped inside and found myself surrounded by the leaders of the Shinsengumi. Their eyes dug into me like sharp knives. I stared before me and then gulped nervously.
Ohayo.
Ohayo! I take it you slept well? Well, it wasn't particularly comfortable. Chizuru, like you can see that the female protagonist has kind of a, you know, and this is, I don't know what you'd call this style. of like, it's definitely marketed towards females. Because when I went to look at you earlier, you didn't budge no matter what I poked. And so you'll notice each of these males is going to have a different personality quirk. So this one is kind of aggressive but playful. He teases and he's kind of scoundrel-like. You were knocked out cold and you looked snug and cozy in your sleep. Like I'm going to be kind of creepy. What? He's only teasing you. Suji didn't go anywhere near your room. So he's acting like an aggressive creep, but he's actually a nice guy, right? These are all things that are tropes in romance novels in the West. They exist in other cultures too. Women tend to enjoy literature with these sorts of tropes in them. In lots of different cultures. Quite silent, I stared at Okita. Captain of the Shinsugumi's 1st Division. He's a native of Edo. His brilliant prowess as a swordsman developed by training with Kondo and Hijikata. So, you could do a lot with just this portrait, and you do, like, one version with it. You could do this all digitally, and then, like, one with the eyes closed. With his grin still spread along his face, he glanced over to Saito. Captain of the 3rd Division of the Shinsengumi. He's a native of Edo. He wields his swords in his left hand and fights with incredible skill. Yeah, he's left-handed. If you want to leave into left-handed guys, you can romance him. Just wanted to see you squirm a little. Not very nice of you, Hajime, calling me out like that. I don't think Saito did anything wrong. You, on the other hand. This is kind of the more strong. He's kind of like the alpha. Toshizo Hijikata, shut it. You sound like a bunch of kids. So if you're into the more stern masculine one. Let's do this. Hijikata's voice brooked no further insubordination. Okita shrugged and fell silent, but the smile lingered through his bright eyes. The commander of the Shinsengumi, he is Kondo's longtime friend who helped from the Shinsengumi in Kyoto. Kondo calls him Toshi. So you got a lot of stuff there, including like calling someone Toshi. That's like a diminutive, indicates like familiarity. The-ins for girls are called otome games. One girl surrounded by a bunch of hot guys. I think that's basically this. I just wanted to check it out. Where was Gondor when the bus failed? So, is this your witness? Oh, 3 more guys. The man who spoke was, well, he looked more like a boy than a man. Maybe this is the youthful Shinsengumi captain that Inoue was describing to me. I'd imagine the leaders of the Shinsengumi to be older, maybe even middle-aged men, but it's a bunch of hot guys to romance. Their faces were still blessed with youth. In fact, one might even confuse them at first glance for a gang of bohemian thugs. I'm really surprised more people I know haven't just made a visual novel. I bet there's like a market you could really corner with this. He's a real stick, huh? Just a kid. You're calling him a kid, Heisuke? That's rich. Bet you are. To anybody else, I'll bet you two look like a sad pair of scrawny little brats. I'm the only one who gets to call them out and being scrawny punks because I'm a mature adult and all. You see how quickly they're sketching out the characters with something like this. Every character is just doing exposition on who he is. Someone who thinks like he's a mature adult. Anything that comes out of your mouth is basically nonsense, Shinpachi. 2 nearby men replied to Todo with very mocking but lighthearted tones. Todo. It's probably like Todo. We're not in Kansas anymore, Todo. Captain, look at that weird face he's got. Shinsegumi's 8th Division. He's a native of Edo. He's the youngest captain and is known for being particularly energetic. There you go. Look how Japan respects its history so much it constantly uses reimaginings of historical characters in minigames. Yeah, they do. That's what lots of healthy civilizations do. That King Arthur, we're not far enough away that we have a lot of legendariums, but like, you know, we should be doing more Natty Bumpo kind of stuff, leather stocking stuff, Last of the Mohicans, and George Washington. Why not? Oh, Andrew Jackson is a great one. You know, there's a legend that he fought the Bell Witch, the famous Bell Witch. Somewhere I recalled Inouye's description of the two energetic members. Anyway, I just wanted to show this to you guys. And so, like, this is basically boom, boom, boom. We're gonna show you a bunch of. Now, at the beginning starts off with like this girl witnesses a murder, and these guys like stop the murderer, and kill him, like the three guys that you met before. And then they like take her away. So he said the short-haired one was Nagakura, and the other with the longer hair was Harada. Captain. These guys are all from Edo. This game seems to have an anime. Lots of anime gets these, I've noticed. Oh yeah, I didn't know. I haven't looked too deep into it. Yeah, I think what happens is animes are very expensive to produce. I'm actually gonna turn this off because it's time for me to go to bed. So like anime is very expensive to produce. So what you tend to do is you start with a different medium and then it gets adapted to anime. So you start with a visual novel and it gets adapted to anime. So Fate Stay Night was a visual novel, or it's manga. So there's big manga magazines like Shonen Jump is probably one everyone's familiar with. Comes out every week or month or something. Comes out regularly as this big 7x10 periodical, and anything that's popular will get picked up for a run longer in it, and then it's collected in the tankobons, which are the smaller mangas. I don't have one handy, but they're smaller. And then you know, what we're familiar with in the West as manga are these tankobons, not the 7x10 like periodicals. But if something's successful enough to get tankobon, and there's a good fandom, then they'll adapt it to anime. So that's why you see that it's kind of like movies in Hollywood. You know, a bestseller novel gets adapted to a movie because it's kind of already proven its potential in the market. They already see that there's a lot of people interested in it. It's got a built-in fan base, so they buy the rights and they make a movie out of it. So it's kind of the same thing. You get kind of the same thing with the animes. There are original animes too, but a lot of them are, you notice, have this path. Oh, there's a manga, then they make an anime of it, or there's a visual novel and an anime. So visual novel is a format that I just haven't really looked at or explored or seen what's there. So I'm trying to find more of them I can try out and kind of just see how they are. Oh yeah, and light novels. So light novels to animes too. So I did a review of Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions. That was originally a light novel. They got adapted to an anime. So there's some format usually that's cheaper and easier to try. So there's, you know, you're rolling the dice more often because anyone can put out a light novel, and if it's really successful, then it's already proven in the market, and then you can adapt it to an anime and get an even bigger audience. And then when it gets that bigger audience, it goes backwards. So you get I don't know what to call it. I might call it like the adaptation phenomenon. When something's adapted, so you have something that has a certain success and it gets adapted into a movie or an anime or something, then that in turn feeds back into the success of the original. So, you know, I saw the original Berserk anime before I read any manga, before I read any of those, because they weren't even available in the West. You had to watch like fan dubs of or fan subs of the original Berserk one, like on the internet, in the early internet to like, you know, early 2000s, because people didn't really have it. And then later Dark Horse brought the manga over for people. So you have this weird feedback loop. When you get it going as strong as possible, you get like the Harry Potter phenomenon, where it's like it's a best-selling kids book, which turns into a hit movie, which makes it even more best-selling books. And then there's 7 movies and 7 books, just like constant feedback loop of hyping it up bigger and bigger, to where it's like, you know, 90% of all the money to be made in publishing is in Harry Potter. So that's how you get Extremistan. That's right. That's correct. You get this Extremistan thing. So, but it's important to test the market out with these small ideas. And so that's where a lot of things happen. Now, I will say what's very interesting to me is Old Pub basically is dead except for occasionally hitting something with like a young adult novel. But for instance, something like Tor hasn't had like a hit book in like 20 years because their editors are all woke and they don't care about making money, and they're okay losing money and okay being a write-off for the bigger publisher that they're part of, which I think is Hatchet. I don't remember. So anyway, that's how you end up with that sort of thing. You're always something that has a small success here, you adapt it to something that has bigger market potential, and then that feeds back and makes that first thing bigger, which feeds, it just goes back and forth till you get like this huge explosion of what's there. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings was extremely popular, and it was way more popular after the movies came out because people watched the movies and then read the books. So they kind of went back into it. And even people who didn't care that much about the movies were more aware of it, and maybe they went and tried the books out, bought the books. So Lord of the Rings was already a big fantasy franchise, but the fact that it got adapted into like Oscar-winning movies made it sell a lot more books. That helped. All right, guys. So I'm probably going to call it there. Thank you for, thank you for hanging out with me for a while. Thank you for the prayers for my mother-in-law. And I do appreciate having a little bit of normal content to play around with during all this. If you don't see me, or if I don't upload anything for a while, it's because there's so much going on. I just wanted to do something normal tonight, something that's a little bit more laid back and not such a something that's just typical. That's part of the schedule. So I'll probably be back on Thursday, but I can't guarantee it. And I'll probably be on Saturday at least for a while. I really appreciate it, and but if you see me missing for a while, that's probably why. We're on top of it, but it's a big family. We got to do a lot of work to kind of pick up the pieces here. So I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.